Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is lesson 184, part 2. Yeah, from yesterday, we're going over common everyday abbreviations, uses, and meanings. Again, I ended up choosing the ones that we come across the most. Many of them come from Latin origin, and not everybody really knows sometimes what they stand for, but again, I'm going to review it here. So this is part 2. All right, let's take a look at the first one. The first one is LB, LBS. Now, most Westerners know that's pounds, but I've often heard a lot of Westerners say, why do we use LBS for pounds? Well, obviously, it comes from Libra, like the zodiac sign, Libra scales. So that's why it's used as a symbol for pounds. Used to indicate pounds. Okay, let's look at the example here. She bought 10 pounds worth of fruit. Yeah, sure, good. Okay, let's look at the next one. IE. IE is another one that confuses even native speakers because this is one we take directly from Latin. Most of them know probably that it means that is, but they can, for where does IE come from? Well, the IE comes directly from Latin id est. Est in Latin is, id, id, is that. So we usually either read it as that is or that is to say. Sometimes I even see it read as, by which is meant. So it could be all used in all of those ways. Okay, I do once in a while see students make a mistake, and they think that it also means, like, for example. No, it doesn't. It doesn't do that. So IE stands for id, which should be read as that is. Okay, let's take a look at the example here. That comic book convention is only for Marvel superheroes, i.e., or you could read it as i.e. or that is, Hulk, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Fantastic Four, and many other superheroes from the Marvel Book Company. Okay, good. All right, let's look at MA. All right, MA, like somebody gets a postgraduate degree. Somebody got an MA. Comes also from Latin. Magister Atrium is what it actually comes from, which is Masters of Arts. Okay, a postgraduate degree, right? So here's the example. She is planning on going for an MA. All right, MO. We sometimes hear this in movies, especially detective movies that try to find the criminal. Oh, okay. Yeah, MO. So MO here stands for Modus Operandi, methods of operating, often used about criminal records. Okay, good. All right. All right. I guess I noticed I skipped MD, even though MD is a very common one. Everybody knows MD. Stands for Medicinae Doctor, of course, from the Latin, Doctor of Medicine. So here's the example. Her husband is an MD, or maybe you could say somebody was an MD in the military. All right, good. And I should give you the example of MO here. I forgot to do that. The police suspect it may be done by a serial killer because all these cases of murder follow the same MO. So remember, MO stands for modus operandi. Modus operandi, the same method of operation. So probably used a lot of the same ways that, especially with serial killers. Sometimes they like to do the murder all in the same way. They get some excitement from that. Okay, let's go to the next one. PhD, Philosophae Doctor. Okay, Doctor of Philosophy. Yeah, he got a PhD in that subject. Another thing to note about PhD is, it's the PH and then the period and then dot period. That's the way it should be written out. A lot of students might make that mistake. They might just write PhD altogether. It should be PH dot D dot, basically. Okay, but again, that's a common one, just like master's and PhD. PhD, of course, is the highest university degree you can get. All right, let's continue. PS stands for postscript. Remember, anything's post is always after. Postscript after writing. So after what has been scripted or written, that's what we hear. So here's the example. Yeah, so used at the end of a letter to add information. And here's the example. He added a PS. I love you, and I cannot wait to see you again. Yeah, I've probably heard that in a lot of songs too. I think it was an old beating out. P.S. I love you. something like that. But yeah, if somebody writes that PS, that's what the PS actually stands for, postscript. And so it's like an added thought after you finish the whole letter, to add and some extra information. All right, good. And here, RIP, of course, comes directly from Latin, requiescat in pace. But most people know the English translation because it's the letters match up in English too. May someone rest in peace. So the RIP also matches English of rest in peace. Yeah, so it is often used on gravestones or tombstones, especially to save space or save money. We know on tombstones they always charge you for every letter that's put in there, so that's why sometimes people in the past have abbreviated just to RIP for rest in peace. All right, the VS. VS is one you should never read it as VS. You should always read it as verses. Okay, sometimes you just see the whole word written out, or a lot of times you see the VS. We see it in sports a lot. One team against another. So that's the example here. Tonight's game is the Yankees versus the Red Sox. You might also see it in law cases. Remember that old movie a long time ago, Kramer versus Kramer. So it always means against or opposing. Okay, I hope you got it. I hope it was informative. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.